Daniel 7:26. However, it is 7:25. Am I correct?
Yes.
Thank you. I have Daniel chapter 7, 25 and 26. These was given to me to give a kind of an outline of these two verses. And I will read them. He will speak against the Most High and oppress his saints, and try to change the set times and the laws. The saints will be handed over to him for a time and a half time. But the court will be set, and his power will be taken away and completely destroyed forever. NIV. The end, this to me is the end of the Gentile world power, the fourth world kingdom, the Roman Empire, the Iron Empire, which we will see a little later, little while, which came up among them. And three of the first horns was uprooted before it. This horn had eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth that spoke boastfully. NIV. Now Daniel undoubtedly is putting all this together in his dream, linking this with verse 25, which shows that the little horn is a man, which has a beginning and an end. Daniel's prophecy is the same as St. John in Revelation 13, 5 and 6, which I will read. And the beast was given a mouth to utter proud words and blasphemies, and to exercise his authority for 42 months. He opened his mouth to blaspheme God and slander his name, and his dwelling place, and those who live in heaven. 13. Prophetic passage in the scripture gives a clear description of the Antichrist. In Daniel's prophetic vision, this same character was also prefigured by a little horn, or a power, which grew out of a terrible beast. The Apostle John points out this twofold significance. In 1 John 2:18 and 19, we read, Dear children, this is the last hour, and as you have heard, massacre, inquisition, persecution of all kinds, what in this way have they not done against all those who have protested against their innovations and refused to submit to their adulterous worship? Witness the extermination crusades published against the Wilderness and Albanese. Witness of John House and Jerome Cross. Witness the Smithfield fires in England. Witness God and man against this bloody persecution, ruthless and impure church system. And think to change times and laws, appointing feasts, fast and feasts, colonizing person whom he chooses to call saints, granting pardons and indulgency for sins, instituted new moves of worship, utterly unknown to the Christian church, new articles of faith, new rules of practice, and reversing with pleasure the laws both of God and man, establishing the church in power before the Lord's time. This is really, it's something that man has instituted upon himself, but you know, studying this subject, I find that a lot of these titles, it was 60, perhaps more titles that was labeled upon the Pope. He was thinking that he was God upon earth. Now, Brother Richard have gotten into the prophetic times, but there are a few things I'd like to say about that, because we see that all of this taking place, as already been pointed out, around about AD 534, when the Pope Constantine, the Emperor Constantine, made the Pope, I think Pope Leo III, Emperor of Rome. Therefore, he gained both religious.
Brother Lee, thank you for your presentation. While you were speaking, it got me to thinking, mindful of your initial comments before you got started with your remarks. But when we put together this assignment on Daniel and tried to segment out the verses, I guess we recognized a little bit that there might be some, how should we put it, some unintentional overlap by one brother over another. I think that's inevitable. But having said that, we're now going to give you the chance to do that too. So I have a question for you. Maybe it's not directly related to your two verses, but nonetheless, I want to raise it because there's been quite a bit of mentioning of or comparison between Daniel 7 as well as Daniel 2. So, as we know with Daniel 2, and particularly when we consider these universal empires, Daniel 2 seems to be man's view of these kingdoms versus Daniel 7, which appears to be God's view of these kingdoms. But there was some discussion earlier concerning the image and the smiting of the image. Again, these are not the verses directly related to what you've been asked to comment on. But if you have a thought, I'm not sure if you do, but if you have a thought as to the smiting of that particular image being past or future, and why you say what you do say, and you have a comment, that's my question to you.
Yes, I can give you my opinion. We have been in the study of Daniel in our class for some time, but we haven't got very far because it's a rigorous study. There's a lot of extras that goes with it. But it seems that what Daniel is saying, you know, he gives us, as Brother Richard explained, this time and a half. God gave the Gentile world authority a time to rule. And they have ruled, and they're still ruling. But there will be a time, you know, when it came to, let us say, 1799, one time 260 years, you know, from 539. Well, that was light. You know, the power of the Pope, etc., was pretty much diminished as far as civil power. But they still held on to a lot of the papal power. So therefore, then, I think the smiting of the stone It's still the future because we still don't see those things that are supposed to happen when the stone will destroy the fourth world empire, which is behind kingdom.
Yes, Brother Lee, thank you for your presentation. I have this question that is bothering my mind. Since you have spoken of the Antichrist and the papacy system, I would like to ask you this question. Looking in the Bible, we know the Antichrist is this mystery of iniquity, and his teachings are seducing. When we look at birthday, the foundation of birthday celebrations, we know Pharaoh of the old, killed one of his servants on the day of his birthday. Coming back to the New Testament, we know King Herod killed John the Baptist, cut his head during his birthday. I know of this righteous man, though we know it's allegory, Job, who kept the day of his birth. And Ecclesiastes says it is better to remember the day of your death than the day of your birth. So looking at our holiness to God and the foundation of birthday celebration, since we are new creatures in God and we have crucified the Adamic birth, is it good or will it be pleased to God if we continue to celebrate the day of our birth? This is my question.
The day of what?
Our birthdays.
Oh, on a normal birthday? That's what you said? I don't find that in the scripture. I don't find that in the scripture where we should celebrate our normal birthdays.
We've had birthday celebrations already.
We had one here, yes. But that's okay. I see nothing wrong with celebrating a birthday, but I don't see in the scripture where we shall not celebrate birthdays. At least I'm fine. Maybe you do, let me know. But a celebrating thing, one of the things that you alluded to is anti-ism. Anything that is against the truth of Christ in his name or in his Father is anti-ism. It's the false. So that should not be practiced. Or you shouldn't listen to that also. That's what this whole subject is about that when the true church started, they started on a perfect, solid foundation. Peter laid that, and so did the Apostle Paul to the Gentiles. But thereafter, it crept in this anti-ism, It moved in. As I just finished, the people just rushed to it because it was something that they could relate to. One of them probably birthdays, and they have strange gods.
I don't want to take anyone's turn. With regard to the destruction of Babylon, we have, I don't know how many pictures, a lot in the scriptures. But one that stands out peculiarly is because it references Jezebel, mother of harlots, in Revelation. And do you draw a distinction between the death of Ahab and the death of Jezebel with regard to what those two deaths mean with regard to the Roman Catholic system, Babylon, etc.? And the reason I ask is because, of course, we know Ahab was killed after going up to Ramoth Gilead with Jehoshaphat, of all people. This Micaiah picture, and so many different features factor in. But that was while Elisha was still on the scene. And Jezebel isn't actually killed until Elijah is still on the scene. And Jezebel isn't killed until Elijah is taken and Elisha and one of the sons of prophets go and, or, you know, one of the sons of the prophets is told why Elisha to go and anoint Jehu, king of Israel. Then, of course, we know what happens, and he winds up killing, or being responsible, I should say, for the death of Jezebel. So in that vein, just asking, do you see that perhaps that factors into why we still have a Roman Catholic presence that is actually more pervasive than it's ever been in its history today?
Well, that is a very good question, but one of the things that we do link Jezebel with the church in the wilderness. You know, when we link that as the 1,260 years. You know, she threatened to kill the prophet, so he fled from her presence. And it didn't rain for 3.5 years, according to Matthew, I think it is. I don't have anything on this subject, but maybe someone else does. No one has any support? We're Bible students, you know. Okay. Thank you very much.